What's going on, everybody? This is the Ground Up Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and this is
Keisha Rock.
And this is episode 45.
All right, 45, y'all. Listen, learn, and be inspired. Today, we're bringing you Rob YB Youngblood, Master Connector, and LinkedIn Locksmith, owner of YB Connects LLC. Welcome, YB.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Yeah.
How you all doing today?
We're doing great. We're happy to have a master connector. We're just excited to have you on the show. You are so known for your networking skills.
And I want to say it's a cool thing to have another cool last name on the show too.
Youngblood, yes.
Youngblood, man.
Yeah, no question. When I was a kid, I hated it because they created so many doggone names with it. But now I love it. It's the most marketable thing that I have outside of maybe the LinkedIn Locksmith. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
a dope last name.
And so do you go by YB? That's what I seem to see you known as.
Oh, yeah. So when I came to Richmond, Virginia in 1996, I came down here from the Bronx, New York to go to Virginia Union University, the best HBCU in the nation. So whoever's listening, you can argue with your mama. But Virginia Union University, I met a young lady from Roanoke, actually Lynchburg, Virginia. She didn't believe my last name was Youngblood. She actually carded me, looked at my ID. She said it was fake. And so instead of her calling me Youngblood, she started calling me YB, and it just stuck. So since 1996, I've been YB.
YB, I love it. All right, YB. So tell us a little bit more about you. So you're not from Richmond. Where are you from?
Yeah, originally from Bronx, New York. I grew up in a single-parent home. My father was actually murdered when I was 2. I often share that part of my life for 3 reasons. One, I just want people to know I'm just a regular guy. Like even though I dress up, I wear nice jacket and everything like that. I come from a challenged background growing up without my father. But I also want to give people hope and let them know that your past doesn't equal your future. And then I also want to be relatable, because I think oftentimes people look at folks that may be successful and they say, oh, I can't be like that, until they actually hear their real story. So that's one of the biggest pieces of adversity that I had to overcome. And actually is what prompted me to want to get into entrepreneurship, because, my father was an entrepreneur. He was a street pharmacist. And some of you will catch that at the red light, right? So, for me, I wanted to have autonomy, and I wanted to get out of my mom's house real quick. She would always tell me that at 18 I was out of there. She would always tell me, 18 you out of there, and I beat her time frame. I got out at 17, so I was excited about that. So came down to Richmond, Virginia, and it took me 8 years to finish a 4-year degree, and I didn't get a master's. It's because of my gift of being a connector and a social butterfly that it took me so long to finish undergraduate school. So
I gotcha. Wow, that's a lot. But no, I love your aspect of mentioning, your father and your story, because being relatable that's a part of connecting. And that's probably what helps make you so good at connecting with people, is that you're able to be real. Right. So tell us a little bit more about what you do. In my words, I call you a connector. Everyone knows you as the LinkedIn Locksmith. And I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, but let me hear in your words what it is that you created a business around.
Yeah, so I have to go back. So I often talk about adversity, and so one piece of adversity that I had to overcome was in 2012, August of 2012. I was laid off from a nonprofit position here in Richmond, and as a result of that, as I was leaving that position for the very last time, we literally, with tears flowing down my face, I was thinking about my wife, I was thinking about my kids, my children. I have 2 daughters, and I was wondering what will I do next, and so. Because of how my mom raised me and my family raised me, I prayed to God that he would deposit within me something that would allow me to live for him while utilizing my gifts and talents to be a blessing to others. And that's when the name YB Connects was thrusted into my spirit. YB, because it represents who I am. Connects is because of what I do. For me, connecting and networking comes easy. It's a gift. Right, it comes easy for me, and it's a challenge for others. And so what I ended up doing was I began to work with individuals who were struggling when it came to networking. They were struggling when it came to identifying their next career opportunity. And I would be brought in to speak about those skills that I had. And eventually, I stumbled upon a tool called LinkedIn. Actually, I had been using it for a number of years within the nonprofits that I was working in. But because I knew how to network, I was able to teach people how to use that tool to connect with others and establish connections that led to outstanding outcomes. And so since 2012, I've been growing and building YB Connects.
I just think that's so incredible just because to me, like that's the pure definition of using your gifts and, creating your own opportunities. It's not that's not a common thing that you see people have built a business off of, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, if you think about it, so my first exposure to real business came as a result of direct selling and multi-level marketing. Right. So when you think about multi-level marketing, you think about direct sales, that's pretty much all we do, right? Is networking. You're getting paid to network. You're getting paid to connect people to vendors, right? That's really what we do. And so a lot of times people look down, they'll look their nose down at people that are in direct sales or network marketing, but the actuality, you're learning how to communicate. You're learning how to lead, and then you're learning how to build relationships, which is actually the equation for sales. And so as a connector, what I've learned to do is I've learned how to monetize connections, right? I've learned how to monetize connections, right? So think about it this way. A good movie comes out. So for example, this weekend, James Bond, the new James Bond movie is out, right? So James Bond, there's a lot of folks who love James Bond. Matter of fact, they think Idris Elba needs to be the next James Bond, right? So there's a lot of women out there that would love that, right? So what happens is, if I said, let's go see the new James Bond movie, people go see it, and what happens? The movie makes money.
Right.
But I don't get paid for telling people to go to the movies, right? Why? Because I didn't build a relationship with the people who focused on, building the movie. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, what I've learned to do is to build the kind of relationships that would allow me to get paid for facilitating connections that lead to outstanding outcomes.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're teaching other people how to do this, how to
absolutely
use resources.
Absolutely. Then that's what I do through my coaching, my consulting, specifically teaching folks how to leverage LinkedIn to make that a platform where they can attract profit and partners.
Okay. Wow. So how did you go about, so you realized this is something you could monetize. How did you go about structuring the business or really knowing how you could make this like your main source of income?
Yeah, at first when I got started, I was a straight up sole proprietor, so YB Connects was the name of the company. I didn't actually become an LLC until March of 2013. And so, I bootstrapped a lot of this stuff. So I got a URL, ybconnects.com. And then what I did was I pointed it to my LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn was my website. So I didn't have a website, but if people typed in www.ybconnects.com, it took them right to my LinkedIn profile, which was an added advantage because LinkedIn in essence serves as a website for you, right? I have a profile. It provides upfront information. People can contact me. They could send me a message through my inbox if they needed to. And then I was able to, update people with what I had going on. So I really didn't need a website because LinkedIn was my website. I literally attracted my very first client as a result of just overusing LinkedIn. Every time I posted a message, I would put hashtag YB Connects on Facebook, hashtag YB Connects, to the point where people would reach out and say, what the heck is YB Connects? Like, what is this all about? So as a result of creating that interest, I attracted my very first client who was a classmate of mine at Virginia Union. And she wanted to attract another opportunity, employment opportunity using LinkedIn. And I didn't know what to charge. So I told her, hey, I'll do this with you for $50, right? We'll go over $50. We'll do that. Well, then she reached back out and she said, can I bring my boyfriend with me? I said, absolutely. So she brought her boyfriend with her. We worked for an hour. At the end of the session, she wrote me a check for $100. Now, I don't know about you, but I told you where I came from, right? I came from the South Bronx, grew up in a single parent home. My dad was murdered when I was 2. I never received $100 in an hour for work, ever. So when that happened, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be rich. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be rich. You know what I'm saying? You pay me $100, you pay me $100 for hour work. Oh, it's about to be on like Donkey Kong. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that was the beginning. And then it just opened up new opportunities and new referrals and new speaking opportunities. And the rest is pretty much history.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, I know you say the rest is pretty much history, but I can only imagine how it really unfolded and the work that you've had to put in. You know, what challenges did you have to overcome it to get to where you are today?
Well, you know, so being married, when you're married, your wife expects money to come in. You feel me? And so even though I was laid off from the nonprofit, I didn't stay full time in building my company. So one of the challenges was that, you know, I became employed. You know, I was attempting to do the full-time entrepreneurship thing, but then, you know, ended up taking on a job and a couple of jobs actually. And then, you know, so the business goes to the back burner until I realized one important thing, and this is what I teach my clients, that I am the business, right? So because YB Connects is me, it doesn't mean that I have to stop operating my business. It just means that I have to figure out how to attract new clients that fit around probably my biggest client, which at that time was my employer. You feel what I'm saying? And so I had to make a decision to go back to work. You know, took on a role serving as a coach within an organization called Inroads. Maybe some folks have heard that. But the beauty of doing that was I took on a new skill of coaching. So had I not taken this role with Inroads, then I wouldn't have been able to add coaching to my repertoire of what I have to offer, what I offer today. You feel what I'm saying? So even though it was a challenge, it produced an opportunity. So, you know, just going back and forth in terms of that, financially not, you know, being consistent, producing on a monthly basis. So obviously having to go back to work. So those were some of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome in the beginning.
I think that's so important what you just said though, like looking around your life and seeing like whatever you are, wherever you are today, there's a way to still use your resources to create your brand, to create your business, like, and to tap into different gifts that you have. Because I mean, while you were getting that coaching, you know, doing your 9 to 5, now you have that aspect in your new business, and you develop that skill even while you were an employer. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's so important to look at your skills that you're getting just every day in life. It doesn't have to be necessarily in your business to contribute to your business.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I share with folks, you know, my biggest clients are people who transition from, you know, being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And what I tell people is that there are 3 main gifts that you acquire when you work for someone, right? And first of all, it's so important to look at your employer as a client, right? So don't look at it like, oh, my 9 to 5, my job, my employer. No, look at them as a client, because when you look at them as a client, you see yourself as the business and as the brand. And so you realize that there's 3 main gifts or assets that you get from that particular client. The first one are the personal relationships that you develop. So everywhere you work, you may end up having coworkers. They become a network, a part of your network. So if you see them as a resource, they become a resource. The second thing is the professional development that you acquire. So many of us, we've worked with companies that provided us with training. They provided us with exposure to different opportunities. And so that helped us to develop our skill set. But then the third asset is the personal development. So you have the professional development, you have the relationship development, but then you have the personal development. So the person you were when you first got started in that role, you're probably not that same person. And if you are, then you probably need some coaching, because you're not growing. You should be growing every day of your life and becoming someone totally different, meaning you should be shedding the negative and taking on more of the positive. So those are 3 assets. And so once you gain that, no matter if the company chooses to keep you, they let you go, you can always take those 3 assets with you everywhere you go to add value to the next client or clients that you serve and that you work with.
I mean, you should drop the mic after that. I mean, that is such good wisdom and knowledge. There's a new business in town.
Golden Touch Mobile Detailing.
If you're in the Richmond, Virginia area and tired of riding dirty,
or you appreciate a deep clean,
book an appointment with Golden Touch Mobile Detailing. It's not your average car wash. Full interior and exterior cleaning, and Golden Touch Mobile Detailing comes to you.
It's the attention to detail to make you a returning customer.
Follow the Instagram at Golden Touch RVA and book your appointment.
I guarantee you'll be riding clean.
You know, how much have you seen how personal development plays into entrepreneurship success?
Oh yeah, it's critical. One of my brothers, shout out to Kawan Rollins, one of my brothers, he's a coach. And one of the things we used to say while we was building our business, our direct sales business, is personal development is critical, right? Personal development is critical. So if you're not reading, if you're not listening to motivational messages, if you're not, in an environment where you're learning from people that know more than you're going to get passed up for a lot of opportunities. So you have to constantly work on you. And the biggest challenge that most people have is between their ears, right? Because of our thought process and having to move away from, how we were reared as kids. Keep in mind, I grew up without my father. So I had trauma that I had to overcome. If I didn't overcome that, then I would take that trauma into every relationship, and then trauma leads to drama, right? So if you don't overcome the trauma, you're going to be the one that's going to create the drama. And so personal development is so critical so that you can have solid personal relationships, because you only get paid based on how you impact people. Ooh. Right? You only get, you only get paid based on how you impact people. And if people don't like you, they're not going to work with you. If they can't trust you, they're not going to work with you. If you don't produce, they're not going to work with you. And so the worst thing is to have a brand where people are like, nah, don't work with him, man. He had an attitude, man. Like he'll just snap, crackle, and pop all over you. And then you're like, nah, I don't want the drama. Let me go somewhere else. So personal development is critical.
Yeah. So I know I've talked to you previously or heard, you learned a lot from Eric Thomas from ET. Oh, I got this one over here is a huge fan, listens to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast every Thursday. And I'm on it. I've been on it since 2005. So I've been on him since then. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Eric Thomas fan. I mean, but she told me that you work with him.
So I had to, I talk about adversity, right? So another part of adversity was in 2015, I actually experienced a mental health crisis. I was on the verge of suicide. And as I was going through my healing process and seeking out counseling, I was on YouTube and I was looking for motivation. And I had never heard of Eric Thomas before. I'll be honest with you. Now, as big as Eric Thomas is and as big as he was, I never knew who he was. Now, I did see the Secret to Success video. I saw the dude working out in the sand, and I heard the voice, but I didn't know who that voice was behind that video. Right. And so when I was seeking out motivation, I found ET on YouTube, and that led to me purchasing. Actually, I went on a webinar, and then I purchased this 2-disc DVD, which was called From GED to PhD. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, as I was watching that in my house, and listen, as clear as you can see me, as clear as you can hear me, I was watching this video, and I'm a spiritual guy, right? I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. I heard the Holy Spirit say, bring ET to Richmond, right? So literally I'm standing in my living room, and I'm like, hold up, I know I'm the connector, but how are we gonna make that happen? And so I went on this quest to find ET, and I found Eric Thomas. I found him. He was in Detroit. He was a pastor. His name was Eric Thomas, but it wasn't the ET, the hip hop preacher. It wasn't him.
Not yet, yeah.
And it wasn't until I had a conversation with a brother who we're having a talk. I'm on the phone with him, getting to know him, and out of the blue, he's like, "Oh, by the way, ET is my mentor." Mm. Now I'm on my phone. I'm in my carport. I'm like, oh, hallelujah! I was about to have a hallelujah breakdown in my car,
Right.
What ended up happening was this brother opened the door for me to connect with CJ, right? So if you watch the podcast, you know who CJ is, right? For those of you who don't watch the podcast, right? For those of you who don't watch the Secret to Success or listen to the Secret to Success podcast, go check that out. You'll know who CJ is. So anyway, CJ is the president of Eric Thomas and Associates. I get connected to this brother. I'm on the phone with him. I'm telling him what the Lord told me. I'm going to bring ET to Richmond. And CJ said, listen, you sound like a real sharp guy. You sound like you got a lot going on. However, 98% of people don't follow up. Don't be a part of the 98%. Now you see that look you see that look you just gave me?
Yeah.
Multiply that by 100, because I was on the phone looking at. I was like, "What? Who you talking to? Like, do you know who I am?
follow
you know
up.
where I'm from?" Yeah. So since 2016, I've been following up. My first year connecting, I ended up traveling to St. Louis for one of his conferences on no bread. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had to go into my nonprofit fundraising mode to get there. But I ended up joining his community, Breathe University. And that year I went to 10 different Eric Thomas events. Yeah, I went to 10 different cities. And, you know, we connected. I get him on the phone from time to time. We chop it up. And I'm still on quest to bring in ET to Richmond. As a matter of fact, I just sent his booking agent a text message earlier today because I just got back from one of his conferences in Atlanta. And I'm like, listen, I need you to coach me through the process of getting him to Richmond. Yes, yeah. So,
I want
you guys,
to be at that one in
a
Atlanta.
part of that, helping me get in the company. Oh, it was awesome. It was.
I want to help you. I want to help you bring him to Richmond. And that's facts. That's facts. I want to help you.
Hey, don't be one of those people that don't follow up.
No.
Come on, tell him, mama. Tell him. That's right.
She know who I am. Though.
I just know how much ET has inspired him. That was one of the podcasts that got you in the podcast too, right?
Yeah. When I found this podcast, well, it was you.
Yeah, I introduced him to podcasts because I said there's podcasts about so much. Trust me, just try it out.
She was like, well, just type in anybody. I was like, well, type in Eric Thomas, and
there he popped up.
I was like, what?
Yeah, I just think it's so important to find people that inspire you. Like, this life can be so hard, but there's so much hope, but we have to dig for it. And a part of that is what we listen to, what we feed ourselves. And so I'm happy that he found someone that can feed good stuff into his energy. You know, ET is dope. You know, now I have my own people. I got Oprah, you know. So I just think it's so important for that inspiration. But you do so much. Like, you know, I listen to the clubhouses you do. Just talk to us about like what does a week look like for you? Like, because I see you traveling. Like, you know, how do you structure your life with this business?
You know, I operate in spirit, but my wife and my children, they keep me grounded. You know, they keep me grounded. And so I would say a week starts with, you know, I wake up in the morning, have some personal time. About 7 o'clock, I'm on Clubhouse with one of my coaches and good friends, Glenn P. Brooks Jr. He has a group on there called Bootstrapping Business and Ministry. And for those who don't know what bootstrapping is, it's like, listen, you do what you can with what you got. You know what I'm saying? You don't wait. You know, a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna wait for the PPP loan. No, listen, you use what's in your head, you use your hands, you use your mouth, you use what you have to get to where you're going. And so I'm a part of that community, bootstrapping business and ministry. And then from time to time, I'll jump on a men's prayer call that actually ET put me on to. That's been going on for over 30 years.
Wow.
Just to get centered, you know what I'm saying? And these brothers around the country who get together and then, you know, support my wife. I make sure I pray with my wife and my children before they head out to school. And then I'll get started with my day. And, you know, I'm a part of the #1 self-publishing company in the world. I serve as the president of sales for Self-Publishing 30 Days. So I'll check in with my team there. I'm doing some work with Rylan, you know, helping him with regards to increasing the visibility of his for-profit in terms of working with for-profit organizations and nonprofits. And then I just connect with my clients. You know, I may do some LinkedIn coaching 1 minute. I may be, you know, on a couple of calls to determine if I'm going to get an opportunity to speak in another part of the country. Matter of fact, I was on a call today, and I'm looking to set the seeds out to do a Black college tour where where the focus is going to be on the alumni, and helping to empower them to use tools like LinkedIn so they could begin to build stronger networks and help support more students. So yeah, it's just a matter of every day I'm connected with some people. And even though I'm a high I on the DISC scale, I'm a flamingo, what they call me, a flamingo, or a flight attendant. If you know anything about, I'm a flight attendant. There's times I just need to be to myself. You know what I'm saying? I just need to be to myself. So yeah. I'm seriously my mother's child. My mother is a big time introvert. She don't give a rip about hanging around with a lot of people. But there's sometimes I just need to just be to myself. And sometimes I sit in my car and I just, I'm on the computer or my phone, just zoning out. Maybe playing Tetris or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Get my mind right.
Right.
Can you believe that this is your job? This is what you've created, the life you created for yourself?
Yeah, I can, and my goal is to get better. So what I've learned is that, there's power in the spoken word, right? So when you understand that there's power in the spoken word, you'll be mindful of every word that comes out of your mouth. So whatever life you want to live, you can design your own life. And I learned that from E.T. Like I learned that from E.T. It's like, like when he says we're a walking ATM machine, it's the truth. Now, I may not have any money in my pocket, like right now, right? But he's like, you're one idea away, right? He says wealthy people don't work for money. They create ideas and the ideas produce money for them, right? So if we want to be a certain way in 3 years, 5 years, we first have to create it in our minds, and then it'll manifest in the physical. We just have to put some work behind it.
Right.
Wow. What have you learned about yourself through your entrepreneurship journey?
I like freedom, but I can be lazy sometimes. So freedom is not without a cost, though, right? So you may think that you're free, but so what I had to learn is that unless I have my systems in place, I'm not really free. Right. I'm not able to just take 3 months off and be good. My wife's going to be looking at me like, okay, dude, what's good? Like, where's the bread? Where's the money? You know what I'm saying? Right. So what I have to do is what I had to learn about myself is I don't like structure, but I need structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I don't like working for a boss, but every one of my clients are my bosses. If you really think about it. Right. So a lot of people say, I don't want to work for nobody. But if you got clients, you're working for them. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? Until you develop your systems, and then your systems will actually work for you, will work for your clients. So I'm just looking at better. That's why I have coaches. In the areas where I'm not strong, I get my coaches to help me out, and they hold me accountable to the things that I say that I want. And if I really want it, I'll work towards it. And if I don't really want it, then I need to stop talking and do something else.
Let's talk about that coaching. And I think I talked about that on an earlier episode.
Right.
I just find coaching to be one of those things that's so powerful, but so people are so afraid of it, or it's so underrated.
Or it's misled. I'm starting to realize most of it is misled now. Because there's people who want coaching, but they're being misled. So they're steering away from a lot of it.
So when you say misled, you're agreeing, you're saying people they're having a hard time believing in it.
Yeah, believing in it, or just believing in it. Yep.
Yeah. So and that's what I find. But because I've had great coaches, I see the power, and I've seen people who get good coaches, and I've seen their growth. So just talk a little about that, how to find someone right for you, and how to, because for good reason, sometimes, you do need to vet, your sources before you put your all in. But talk a little bit about coaching and your view on that.
Yeah, well, before I get into coaching, it's funny, we talked about Clubhouse. I didn't know what the word capping meant until I got on Clubhouse. Like people say no cap. Yo, these dudes are capping. I'm like, what capping? Like they shooting guns or something? Like, what you mean? What you talking about?
I'm gonna sound stupid.
Well, you don't know
capping, like faking, like fronting?
Yeah, like lying, like people lying, like they lying, right? Yeah. So there's been a culture, on certain platforms. I won't mention the name, but the initials is Clubhouse, right? That people out there, they capping, right? So when you start talking about vetting coaches, anybody can get information off the internet. That's so easy to do, right? I mean, a person could do a live somebody else can listen to that live
and then
and go back and take that information and say, oh, let me teach you how to get this result. So here's how you vet somebody. You have to check the fruit on the tree. So the fruit on the tree is, tell me who you've coached. Let me talk to them. And if they're like, nah, I'm not letting nobody talk to my, okay, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
If nobody else is talking about how, now we got to be mindful now, because, you know, every 2 minutes, my Instagram, I'm getting hit with people with this financial stuff, and they're like, oh man, you know, if it wasn't for Joe Blow, man, I wouldn't have made $3.5 billion. I'm not talking about unsolicited. Like, I didn't ask you that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what I look for when it comes to vetting is, I look for, you know, do they walk the walk? Anybody can talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? I'm not impressed if you standing next to a Ferrari. I'm not impressed if you got a Lambo. I'm not impressed. Right? Tell me how your house life is. You know what I'm saying? Tell me how you overcome it. Like, just be real, be 1,000. So the coaches that I deal with, they are willing to pull back the curtain to show you the scars. Right? If you a coach, you got scars.
Yeah.
If you don't have no war scars, I'm not rocking with you. You clean. You too clean.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying clean like you got to be a criminal. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what did you have to go through to get
life
to
experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I start any conversation I have whenever I speak, I'm always talking about the fact that my father was murdered when I was 2. Why? Because that's adversity. I shouldn't have made it out of the Bronx. Now, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm far from where I was. And so I look for people. So people come to me because I can be transparent. I can be real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I want to talk about networking. I know obviously it's vital to your industry, but it's vital to every industry or anything you're trying to do. Yeah. But what about those people that struggle in that area? Not everybody has, it doesn't come natural for everyone to be a people person, you know, and some people can be intimidated by it. So like, you know, how do you guide those type of people?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always tell people that introverts make the best networkers, but only if they learn the skill. So networking is a skill like riding a bike, like flying a kite. You know what I'm saying? Like anything, like cooking, it's a skill. It's like, you know, so the question that I ask people is, do you want to learn? If the answer is yes, let's move forward. The answer is no. Now, what most people think is networking is not really networking. Just because I can talk well and talk to people, that's not networking. Dr. George Fraser, who is literally the godfather of networking, like, this guy has built a significant network. He said that networking is your ability to connect with other people in such a way that you create mutual benefit, but it starts with you giving. So if you think you're networking, but all you're doing is passing out business cards like it's 5-card Monty, that's not networking. If you think because you jumping in people's DMs because you want to sell them a lotion, potion, or product, that's not networking. Networking is being the first to say, how can I help you? Right? Networking is being able to say, who is your ideal client? Right? What gaps do you have, or what goals are you looking to fulfill? Why? Because I'm listening. And I'm listening for how I can connect your gap to somebody else's skills so you can advance.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So if you really want to be a true networker, then number one, you want to focus on what do you bring to the marketplace? Like, what's your gift? What's your skill? What results can you get for people? That's number one. Number two, you want to be able to ask good questions, right? You don't have to ask a million questions. You just have to ask a few good questions. And then as you listen to those questions, then you want to identify, how can I help this person achieve their specific goal or fill their specific gap? And if you encounter another networker, then they're going to do the same thing for you. They're going to say, hey, well, how can I help you? Or what's your goal? What's your gap? You know, what's your gift? How can I serve you? And then when you get in, it's like playing tennis. Once you get into that mode, you get around some networkers, it's all over but the shouting. It's like things will just happen because people want to serve. And it's the principle of giver's gain. If you understand the value of giving, then you're going to make out because it's going to come back to you. The law of reciprocity is real.
Oh, yeah. You've also done a really good job at branding yourself. How did you do that? And what tips would you give other entrepreneurs on basically marketing yourself in your business?
Yeah, I just say get out of your comfort zone, right? Get out of your comfort zone and be willing to shake a lot of hands. I'm looking at my environment right now. It's getting a little dim around here, so hopefully the lights don't go out. But anyway, yeah, just be willing to get out. Just put yourself in a position to say hello. Be willing to introduce yourself to people. Be able to answer these 5 questions, right? There's 5 questions that I encourage my clients to be able to answer both online and offline. The first question is, who are you? Like get good at being able to answer, who are you? And sometimes when people ask you that question, you might think you're supposed to tell them your position or your title or whatever. That's not the answer to that question. Who are you is talking about the inner you. Like, who are you? And the challenge is most people don't know who they are. So because they don't know who they are, they become intimidated when they get around people who do know who they are. So that's the first question that you want to answer. Who are you? The second question is, what do you do? Right? So what do you do? That's a value statement. What that means is, what's the value that you bring to the marketplace? It's not a title. You could tell somebody I'm the owner of X, Y, and Z. That's great. That doesn't tell me what you do. But if I tell you I coach entrepreneurs to create cash flow using LinkedIn, that's what I do. Right? So what do you do? The third question is, why do you do what you do? That's a purpose question. Right? What's your purpose for doing that? Right? The fourth question is, who do you serve? Not who you want to serve, but who do you serve, right? Who have you impacted? Like, who have you helped already? And then the last question is, what results can you get for people? What results can you get for people? If you can answer those 5 questions, you put yourself in a position to become self-aware so that when you get into an environment with other people, you got stuff to talk about. You got stuff to talk about. And the things you don't know, you just listen and say, that's interesting. How can I learn more about that? And you ask good questions and you go read a book and then you apply it to your life and then you get a result and then you got more to talk about. So that's what I've done. You know what I'm saying? I know those 5 questions. I answer those 5 questions and I constantly work on myself. And then when people get to know me, it's just about being genuine. I'm not going to be this way on a podcast, but then when you meet me, I'm a jerk, right? Right. Obviously, when you guys met me at Lamar Marie, right? I was this same dude. I was energetic. I was all over the place. I'm taking pictures. I'm doing video, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be that same person wherever you find me. And then I think that's the most important thing, is just being uniquely you.
Absolutely. Authenticity, baby.
Yeah.
All right. What's the vision, YB? Where are you going? Where do you want to see your business in the next few years?
Yeah, my desire is to create a program or create programs that teach people how to be successful sales professionals. Right. I heard a young lady, she was on Instagram and she was like, where do we find good people? Right. Because, it's it's not the Great Recession. It's called the Great, what is it? People resignation. That's what they call it. The Great Resignation. A lot of people are leaving jobs and starting their own businesses. Right. And so what I want to do is I want to be a catalyst for getting people back to work, but not in the way that we used to. Most people want to own their own time. They want to own their own brand. But what if there was a program that allowed for people to work for other folks, but they had ownership in that company that they was working for, right? And so similar to my network marketing days, even though we didn't own the main company, we did own our own brand. And so we were getting paid to help that brand grow, but they didn't control us. So what we did was we put ourselves in a position to make money, but we do it under somebody else's system. And through personal development, professional development, as we grow and we get better in those areas, then we put ourselves in a position to make money and continue to build from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. What would you want the listeners to take away from sharing your story today?
just be yourself and be willing to get out and build relationships. Help enough people get what they want, so that then eventually you'll be able to get what you want.
Yes, make connections, y'all. All right, you ready for the game, YB?
Come on, let's get it.
Let's do it. This is going to be, would you rather this or that? Would you rather be known for your wisdom or your wealth?
My wisdom.
Your wisdom. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Would you rather open your own restaurant or your own clothing store?
Clothing store.
Ambition or comfort?
Ambition.
Ambition all the way. All right, YB, how can the listeners reach you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Go to linkedin.com. You can just do a search for Rob YB. That's the YB Youngblood. So Rob YB Youngblood. You can find me on LinkedIn. And once you get connected, please send me a personalized note. Let me know you heard me on this podcast, and I'll be happy to accept you into my network and build with you, and even schedule a 15-minute call so we can get to know each other better.
Beautiful. Y'all use that resource. All right. Thank you for being on the show, YB.
My pleasure. You all be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, continue to share your faith. And the way you do that is by walking in your gift, because your gift will make room for you.
Wow.